Name is Sandra.
You put yourself in mute. You put yourself in mute.
Okay, everyone.
Your name is Sandi. Your name is Sandi.
Yeah.
So hello, everyone. Of Canada.
Thank you, everyone, for coming to this meeting tonight. It's my pleasure. And hello, everyone, and thank you. This call tonight is a very important call. My name is Sandra Walper, and I've been with Immunotech for 28 years. I'm on my 29th year. And it's been an incredible journey for me and an incredible journey for this company. And I'm so excited. I get so excited when I do these calls because I was the one that actually started Immunotech. And, you know, I had a lot of opportunity to meet and talk to Dr. Bunos, and he was my friend. And Dr. Bunos's dream was always he wanted to bridge the gap between traditional and alternative medicine. And he's certainly doing that. This evening, health professionals and hundreds of parents and members will learn about one of Immunotech's most important, and when I say most important, it is one of the most important research products in Immunotech's history. An unprecedented research study done on autism. I would like to note that autism cases have increased from the year 2000, 241%. That is simply not acceptable. Immunotech has had an interest in autism its whole life. In 2014, Dr. Gutman was invited to lecture at the Autism One conference in Chicago, headed up by Dr. Jill James and Jenny McCarthy. He was the keynote speaker at this conference, which I also attended with my team. Immunotech has always been extraordinary. It's always been an extraordinary company, marketing an extraordinary product. And tonight I'm excited to introduce to you a very extraordinary person who I had the pleasure of meeting really lots of times over, you know, the last 10 years, but really he did a meeting for me in Leamington, Ontario. And it was an amazing meeting, and I was so honored to have him there. So this extraordinary person who's going to be speaking to you tonight on the topic of autism and Immunotech's involvement with you. So please, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to one of Immunotech's heroes. Tonight, you will be listening to Dr. Edward Scholcoff, who will be informing you about alternative research used to improve the quality of life in autistic children, or just autistic people in general. In order for you to know a little bit about Dr. Scholcoff, I would like to mention the following, just a little bit about his background. Dr. Scholcoff was the former director of maternal and child health in the Department of Family and Community Medicine and Cook County Hospital and Health System. He was also the former associate professor of clinical family medicine at Northwestern Feinberg School of Medicine in Chicago. Not to mention, he was also the former associate professor of clinical family medicine at Northwestern University, Chicago, and was named Teacher of the Year several times. Dr. Scholcoff has a long resume. Also the former member and founder of the board of the Illinois Transplant Fund. This is just a small example of what I could mention in a very, very lengthy resume of Dr. Eduardo Scholcoff. The latest recognition by SIISDET, Society for International Society for Research, Health, Entrepreneurial Development, and Technology. He also received, like you guys have to understand, an honorary doctorate for his presentation research at the same conference in Santander, Spain. Now, you guys, It's really exciting for me because there's not very many times in your life that somebody with this much credibility comes along to a company like Immunotech who honors the product, who honors the vision, who honors everything what we're about. It's incredible to me. It's an honor. I would like to turn this Zoom call over to Senior Platinum, Rosophilia, my hero's husband, and one of Immunotech's own, Dr. Edward Scholcoff. Take it away.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I thought that Sandi would say, all this is because he's a 70 years old guy. And I truly appreciate, I think that it's an honor to work in a company like this. I was one of the last ones in going to Montreal. I knew the university. I knew the university before because it's the most important medical school in Canada, and we go or to Vancouver or to Montreal or Toronto. I truly appreciate it, and I will start. Basically, we will divide these. Do not think that I'm that. No, I'm a normal people, normal everything, and I will try to explain what happened first to me, and then I will explain where I work, why do I think, what are my thinkings, what changed myself, how I changed myself. And then finally, we will have a long questionnaire, questions and answers. Write it down to be sure that if you do not understand something, be sure that I will try to explain it to you. Sandi is obviously a friend, a person that has the honor of knowing a guy that most probably will be honored in the future as one of the people that change not only integrative medicine, because truly, if we see it, this is not integrative medicine. This is a very peculiar medicine where a product that is natural can treat a lot of things. And we will talk about that, and I will talk about what the nutraceutic is and so on and so forth. Be sure that we talk as much as possible about things that are very important, and I will tell you what is important also for me. As you see, I am very devoted. I am not a pediatrician because kids get sick. If kids will not get sick, I will be a pediatrician. When I was in the pediatric ward in Argentina, we have 3 pediatrics 1, 2, and 3 as students. I decide not to be a pediatrician because they get sick, they get diseases, and they die. And it's something that is very difficult for me. Then this started first in Spanish. I present this, Changing the World for Children with Autism, in Santander, Spain. And I was the one who wrote the prologue of this book, that is Autism, How to Start. And I was always, like most of you and most of the parents of people with autism, are always thinking, how can I make my kid happy? This will be a talk that we will discuss how to make your kid happy. Because really, until now, we know something, but until the randomized double-blind study that was done in Florida, we didn't have the certainty that Immunocal treats autism. And that will be all the talk. I was born in Buenos Aires. Today, $1 is 970 pesos. And then it's a very difficult life in Buenos Aires because the devaluation is very difficult, but it's a nice city to go. There is a lot of places to go from there. I am elementary school teacher. The little one that you see here, now I'm 6 feet, but I was little and I was these kids that are 2 years in advance. Means in 1967, I was already in high school, and means that I was 1 or 2 years below everybody because I steps I didn't do. I was these kids that likes to go forward and so on. Then I was an elementary school teacher when I was 17, but I started medicine when I was 27, 10 years later. Then at 33, I decided to do OBGYN. This is a hospital that I'll always will be proud of being part of this hospital in one of the neighbors of Buenos Aires, the Pena Hospital. And I learned a lot. I graduated as an OBGYN when I was 39. And when I was 40, I emigrated to the United States with all the boards done during that era. And I started a second residency program in family medicine at the University of Illinois, Chicago. 17 years at the University of Illinois. I moved to Northwestern Memorial, the Northwestern University in Chicago. I'm proud of being part of this university. It's a little below the level of McGill, but has one of the best children's hospitals here in the back, the Children's Hospital of Chicago, now called Lurie Children's Hospital of Chicago because of the Lurie family. They donate $800 million for the hospital. This is the last hospital that I was. As Sandi says, I was the director of maternal child at Cook County Hospital, one of the few hospitals that take care of people that do not have money in the United States. It's a very open hospital. The mission is peculiar because it cannot deny care to anybody. And for the Canadians that are here, remember, we do not have, in the States, we do not have health care for everybody or social health care. But this is something that you have to be. That's why I was laughing to the person that says the shots will depopulate people, the world. Be careful. Be careful. We have in the United States an emergency. We have 2 drugs for Alzheimer. One was withdrawn by the Biogen company, and the other one that was supposed to be approved because it's an Eli Lilly will be reviewed because has only one study. One study. And do you know who sponsored this study? Eli Lilly. Then very important is this. Then briefly, Cecilia is now 39 years old. She came to the state when she was 8. She is an internist at the Medical College of Wisconsin, and I have 2 kids. They are normal, don't worry. They are engineers. They are not doctors. And here's all the family. Here are my 2 sons, my lovely wife, Serena, Sienna, and all my kids here, and all my grandkids. And then that's the way Sandi was 28 years ago. She will talk with people and people will look at it. Well, the same was me 7 years ago. That's the feeling that I got in the hospital. Here, this one is Claudia, the one who presented. She was white at that time, and she slowly switched to black shade because she started in my crazy stuff to see if this was true or not. She was the one that when I decided to sign, she signed with me, and she was the one who helped me in the first few months. Now we are this way in Chicago. Then what's the prevalence and what's the incidence of autism? Briefly, is from 1 in 60, 1 in 100, or 1 in 66. This is from the government of Canada. This is not something that I invent, because you will not believe, Sandi, how many people touch me as somebody that is what we call amarillista, somebody that stains things. Well, this is from Canada. This is a true important thing. And what is autism? Because this is I took this. I asked permission. I took this from Doctor Dr. Jimmy Gutman, from his very own lecture in the very beginning of this, when he started fighting to use this without having a randomized double-blind study. Now I do not have to fight. Means everybody will see the study. Then autism is not a specific disease. It's very peculiar in that we call just the same somebody that has different characteristics. Then autism do not have a marker. I cannot get blood and get the diagnosis of autism. Autism is a group of signs and symptoms. Means signs is what I can corroborate. The kid repeats things. That's something that I can see. And symptoms is what the kid shows or what the mother tells me. My kid do not look at me. My kid do not want to sit in school near his or her teacher. Then causes, we will discuss later the cause for autism. Remember, we will talk about the classic spectrum. This helps what you will see today. It will change the life of autism. And I will ask you to help me in that. Then, if you go to the definition of autism, it's a disease related to brain development that affects the way a person perceives and socializes with other people, causing problems with social interaction and communication. The disorder also comprises restrictive and repetitive patterns of behavior. The term spectrum in autism spectrum disorder refer to a wide range of symptoms and severity. When I would talk about when to start immunocal, you will see that if the mother feels that the kid has something, if do not have repetitive patterns, I do not care. Only to let you know that we are very peculiar in deciding things that can help. And it's because what I will show is something that changed the life of kids. Not only kids that have exactly this, kids that can have autistic spectrum disorder. Then this is from a very important journal, The Lancet. It's an England journal. We always show things that from where do we get these? Then this is what The Lancet in 2014 says. Genetics play a key role in the etiology, in the origin of autism, along with environmental factors early in development. Then this is very important because we can do a lot before somebody gets pregnant, during the pregnancy, and after the pregnancy. Number one, the way the lady that is pregnant is treated. This is not only for autism. The doctors that are here can understand that this is also for depression. This is also for some things that affect the development of the brain. Then having somebody that you get folic acid because there is a chance that she will get pregnant, well, with folic acid, we have to give them Immunoca. And you can go, I just start, Sandi, to translate or to speak in English in most of my videos because I want these to get everywhere. Then you will see in congenital malformations an Immunoca. Then you will see it. It's all not only for autism. Lancet, this is from the Lancet, remember? The Lancet says, comprehensive target, early behavioral intervention improves social, this is the therapy, social communication and reduce anxiety and aggression. Drugs may reduce comorbid symptoms, but do not directly improve social communication. That's not longer true. Really, the correct way to start this is therapy for autism is with Immunoca, that change, proven change about this. And I will show it. Then this is what I told you, we slowly get more and more interested in autism, and I am invited to talk in the same CISDET in Puebla next June. Then how this works? Because you say, well, what happened? Well, this is what happened. Diseases are not far from each other. Some people think that autism and diabetes has nothing to do to each other. They are completely different. Well, start changing your mind, because the cells in the pancreas that make insulin and the cells in the brain that socialize and perceive sounds, they have the same problem. The cell has low glutathione, the most important antioxidant inside the cell. We think for many years, and I was trained in a very good university, that diseases, the cells are completely different. They look different, but they are not different. If you see this has a nuclei, this also has a nuclei. This nuclei has all the genetic all the genetic information, and these too. And this is a white cell, and this is a neuron. How the mitochondria are the engines that allow the cells to have energy. In both, you have both. And what they use to make energy, both use the same gasoline called sugar or glucose. And both make from it makes energy that is used for different functions. That's why the cells looks different. But all the cells has nuclei, mitochondria, Golgi, membrane, vacuoli, lysosome. One has more mitochondria, one has less. Obviously, the memory cells has a lot of mitochondria. The socialization cells also. Well, when you burn something, you produce free radicals. Is why cars has an exhaust. If not, they will die. Well, glutathione clean these cells, clean every cells of your body. If you have a disease that affect your memory cells because you have a gene, the way the gene works, it decreases the glutathione in the memory cells until they die. The way overweight and the way obesity works is decreasing the glutathione because of increased work in your insulin cell. The way the gene of or genes of autism works is decreasing the glutathione of the neurons that works in socialization and perception. This is not from the company. It says the imbalance, is called oxidative stress, a condition under which cellular function is extensively impaired. Then what do immunoculture? It increases the glutathione of the cells. When you get immunocal, you get it by mouth, it's a nutraceutical, a natural product with pharmaceutical properties. What pharmaceutical properties? It deoxidizes the cells of your kid that has autism and improve his function. It goes to the stomach and has a very peculiar part of the milk. It's not pasteurized milk because it has something that has to go to your gut in the same condition that is in the cow milk and is also in the milk of mothers. That is called cysteine. When you drink immunocal, this cysteine that is has a little bridge. If you pasteurize the milk, it gets broken. If you cook your eggs, it gets broken. Eggs has a lot of this cysteine, but when we cook it or we fry it, it gets broken. And you do not get what our mothers, in my case, my mother gave me uncooked eggs for many, many weeks. It's the way her grandmother used to be healthy. And what happened? Well, the cysteine gets through this intestine, gets through the blood, and get to the brain of the kid that has autism, that has low glutathione. And this is the way this cell increase the glutathione, clean the cell, and makes the kid more socialized. Here you have cysteine, and this is the little bridge. And this bridge, you cannot warm up above 97 degrees your own temperature because can be broken. And then you do not have this, that is the cleaning of the cells by glutathione. You cannot drink glutathione because it gets destroyed here. Why regular milk do not have any cysteine is because we pasteurize the milk. And then these get broken. That's why it's very intelligent from Dr. Bunos to create this. He thought that has something first for immunity. And then he proved all this. Then now it comes why everybody has to give immunocal to their kids with autism. Then if you go to the National Library of Medicine, We all know PubMed. PubMed is sponsored by the government of the United States, has 36 million uh, uh, sites or 36 million different investigations in different kinds of bioscience. If you put autism and glutathione, you get 233 studies related to that. And all talk, this is a precursor of glutathione. We know that increasing here are, and Sandi will have these, and Jorge Guaman will have these, everybody will have it, but there's a lot of data about it. When I start this in 2016, I have this. I researched the literature, and the literature was very clear. This review of literature was done in 2012. And at that time, it's related to glutathione and autism. And at that time, it was clear that the current literature suggests an imbalance of oxidative and antioxidative stress system in autism. Glutathione is involved in neuroprotection against oxidative stress and neuroinflammation in autism by improving the antioxidative stress system. It means it's an antioxidative. It allows to increase the glutathione, and then you deoxidize the cell that genes and perhaps some other things from the environment produce. And it already says decreasing the oxidative stress might be a potential treatment for autism. And I was fighting several years, talking with pediatricians and neurologists. But in 2021, it appears in Frontiers of Psychiatry, this study. And the study clearly says it's a randomized, double-blind, controlled study. No one can say that this study is not clear. There's not too many people. It's 46 preschoolers. They're the double-blind, the randomized, the placebo-controlled. There's a group that has placebo that looks like the same powder against immunocal. When comparison, the magnitude of changes, significant behavioral improvements with medium to large effect sizes were observed in children, behavioral adaptive skills in the cysteine-rich whey protein group. This is definite. And more, they state that this intervention group, the socialization it was better, the domestic daily living skills were better, the maladaptive behavior domain was better. These significant improvements. And here you are. And if there's a pediatrician, he would say, well, I want a study of 1,000 kids. And the key says, why? Because in both the PDR and the CPD in Canada, both says that the only contraindication to immunocal is somebody that is allergic to the proteins of the cow milk. And the only side effect is if you do not shake it well. And in 24 years that has been in the market, has been no question about overdose. There's no overdose. Why I will wait for a big study when this has to be used by all the kids? especially the autist. This is what happened with the patent. This is a patent from the United States to Immunotech, where it says, oops, it has now been found the treatment with a compound with a composition comprising whey protein isolate and or whey protein concentrate can be used to treat autism in the subject in need. And makes this peculiar thing that says, such as Immunoca, cannot be the whey protein that my kids buy in Costco or in Walmart. Because all the others I made, they denaturalize the proteins that the milk has. Milk, just the same like the breast milk, you cannot feed it because you denaturalize the proteins. And you will say, well, what do I have to do? Well, call the person that invites you. This is the way I used to be. Here you have, look at here, Claudia, and look at here. And the same is Sandi. Probably she can say this from more years than me. Then I was the black sheep in the family. But here in this group, I hope I run into the rest of the herd. Remember, the only way it will be talk with each pediatrician in the country, each neuropediatrics in the country. This, sooner or later, it will take a year, 2 years, 5 years, but sooner or later, the government of Canada, France, Austria, they all will pay for this because it's much cheaper than to pay for other things for autism. I can tell you, I saw things that I never saw in all my life with Immunoca. This is a nice family, very nice family, really. It's the way, it's a place where you work with people that you like. You know, everybody that likes, in the hospital, I have a friend as one of my teacher and one of the chairman of the department. But I didn't like a lot the director of the hospital. Well, here I choose with whom I work. Then Sandi or Claudia, we will do questions. And if anybody has any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
I have a question, Dr. Scholcoff, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
You know, over the years, and it's been a lot of years, Eduardo, that there's always been this, I don't know how to describe it, but it's always been this vaccine versus autism. And when we were at the conference,
somos la culminación de más de 45 años de
that their children were normal, and then they got vaccinated for whatever. And I do believe in, I have to be honest, I do believe in like vaccines. I think that, you know, like measles, mumps, rubella, like I do believe in that. But a lot of people believe that vaccines are the primary reason why children have autism. And I'm just wondering kind of what your thoughts are on that.
I'm more or less in your side. I will tell you, there's a person that says, Doug Leclerc says, autism virtually non-existent prior to the fraudulent vaccine schedule. My best friend's son turned autistic shortly after vaccine. And I will explain you that. One thing is causality and the other one is casuality. Casually, I opened my door I get a big wind over my face, and tomorrow I am sick. Well, the wind didn't produce it. I can tell you, there's a lot of papers about that. You were, after that, in a bus with people that were sick. Then, because it was a cold thing, but wind do not produce neither colds, not influenza. The same is what I will answer Doug. I really do not know if it didn't exist or no one will do a diagnosis. What happened is, if you go 35 years ago in Canada, it will be, instead of 1 in 66, it will be 1 in 250. But perhaps we didn't do diagnosis. Now we have a test, we ask the mother, we see the kid, and we make a diagnosis. Then what I will think is we prove that tetanus, I do not know if any of the people that is here saw somebody dying from tetanus, but tetanus do not exist because of the shots.
Right.
Oh, we hit too many. Oh, that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. We used to, you come with a cat and we will give you a shot for tetanus, the TDAPO before the TDP. But that do not mean that I will include all the shots.
Right.
Then if you have an uncle like me with palsy, with what's the name of the one I have an uncle that has the one that we have an epidemic, and Sabin and Salk resolve it. We have the Salk shots, and there's no palsy at all. I will get it. Don't worry.
Polio.
Oh, thank you. Then if you have one, and now I do not see people with polio, then it's very important for us also to open our mind. And you will say, well, how many shots do I got from COVID? From the 6 in the United States that I have every day in my phone. I got 2. And I got them because if not, I will not be able to see my kid in a restaurant. I will not be able to see my grandkids in Wisconsin. But I can tell you, Sandi, when I saw the myocarditis research in Spain, I call my kids and say, stop getting these shots. This increase 5-time myocarditis. They will not take away from YouTube, because this is a proven thing that shots for COVID produce myocarditis, and it's 5 times more than the normal for the age from 16 to 35. Then this is common things. Oh, yes, still we have to get it whatsoever. Well, these shots are peculiar shots. And then it came the RSV shots. Why adults that I never saw one adult dying from RSV? Now we have a shot for RSV because we put everybody inside their house without contact with other people. We know that these are casualties from COVID, from the craziness of what we did with COVID. But I think that we have to be open. I do not blame Doug. I will say now we solve part of the problems because I give your kid that you feel that the kid that 1 year old do not see at you the same way. You start giving Immunoca. You do not have any contraindication.
Right. So, Dr. Scholcoff, 29 years ago, when I started on with Immunotech and with Immunocal. Children that were autistic were sort of in a category of their own. And now it seems that every child, like in Canada, that like in my sort of arena, that has a behavioral problem of some kind, whether it's overactive or whether they're just kids or whatever. It's like they go to the doctor and automatically it's like they're on the spectrum. And it doesn't matter if they're just hyper kids. Like, for instance, I'll give you a good example. My son Jesse was 7 years old, and he was on the school bus. He was a very active child, and I used to get notes from the teachers and from the school bus driver that my son was ADHD, that he was over the top. And I took him to the children's hospital. They told me he was on the spectrum. I did nothing but Immunocal. And now, I mean, he has a McGill University education and he has an MBA in business management. So, you know, sometimes I think that kids that are overactive, it's just because their brains are like very overactive. Like my son didn't want to know 2 and 2 equals 4. He wanted to know the aerodynamics of an airplane. And so for that reason, he was like on the spectrum.
Okay, then I would say I do not want to convert this in a discussion about shots.
Right.
I did have what Doug, if everybody want, was Doug Leclerc put in the chat. And I think that is somewhat stained. It's not that I will say stained, but it's somewhat stained. And what happened is I cannot change the world.
Right.
I cannot imagine yourself. Moreover, there is a place where somebody gives B vitamins, active B vitamins. I can't remember. I was reading. Nigel, I do not know if he's a doctor. He said, I use Immunocal and activated B complex with my expected clients to support DNA methylation. Well, this is very, very, very well written. Everybody, if you want to use something, use folic acid, B complex, and B complex of a nice, he can write down what he used, Immunocal, and most probably Omega to everybody that is pregnant. Remember that I show in my social media that we decrease most of the congenital malformations are related to oxidative stress. Then I truly think that everybody has to read what Doug Leclerc is. You can write down disasters in vaccinations and you will find it in the PubMed. But really, you live in a place that you are more free. You can't believe, Doug, what it means for a doctor to have 7, 8 patients because the parents decide not to give them shots. Then what happened? The first doctor said, no, if you do not get the shots, you have to go to another doctor. And they jumped from one doctor, and it's their child. It means you can decide whatsoever we want. The problem is the society is pressing us. And I can show, if you have time, I can show how much Glaxo pay to have their executives not going to jail. In the famous Avandia case, they pay $1.2 billion to the United States not to go to jail because they were a criminal, because they didn't release the studies and they found email. Do not think that I think different. But what I think is that we have to go to everywhere. if I will ask something, Doug, I say, Doug, I will share what you give me, but you share Immunocal with 20, 30, 100 people a month to be sure that we get to everybody. And to tell you the truth, I started studying this was in 2012. Really, I like psychology, I like other things, I like society, behavior, and so on. Then truly I'm with Doug, but be careful, because in this society, Leonardo da Vinci will be an attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Not to tell you that he will, well, somebody that is so intelligent and so much an artist, for what he will study mathematics or geography. Then what happened with the kid? He started walking around. Yeah. Then I agree, but be sure that each person in this talk that has an autistic kid is a pediatrician, knows a mother with an autistic kid, gives Immunocal to the kid. What you have to do is only, if Sandi invites you, you call Sandi. Tell her, thank you very much. Get a 1-minute video of your kid not doing things that today you would like him to do. And in 3 to 6 months, do the same video and show it to the pediatrician and show the study, show the pattern. Sooner or later, we'll get into the government, like in Canada. And the government will say, well, perhaps it's better to pay. And I will do, before Donna, I think that she has her hand raised. I will show you something that Finland did. Finland in 1960 did a study about breast milk and saving money. They didn't do it to improve the kids, neither to improve the pregnancies. They did it only to save money. And they show that if you sponsor the person to stay at home and you help her breastfeed, you will have 7% better intelligent kids. You will have less meningitis. You will have less otitis media. You will see less suppurative otitis media. It will be, and then they discovered that was also what we call sudden death, that we do not know why. It decreases. Then what they decide is to do a social intervention. They pay if you breastfeed. They will pay you and your where you are when you get your salary, a part. Then you can stay at home breastfeeding crazy, yes? Well, yes. Look at happiness in Finland and happiness in the United States.
Right.
And you will see expenditure in Finland is 10%. We in the United States are 11. They are first. We are 11 and we spend 19%. Then perhaps the government in Canada will say, well, let's sponsor everybody to take Immunocal. Donna, your turn.
Go ahead, Donna.
Okay, I had a question. Wait, let me.
Something happened to your mic, Donna.
Nope.
Unmute yourself, Donna.
Okay.
Right. Go ahead.
A question about, you were talking about the importance of the B vitamins with autistic children. I had read some information about the MTHFR factor with autism and how that it would increase the ability of them to absorb and utilize immunical when they take the methylfolate and methylcobalamin. Do you have any thoughts on that as far as?
Means, how can I answer you? And really, when you take immunocal correctly and you do not eat or drink, or you take it with a very light meal, most of the cysteine get absorbed. I do not know if you can increase it or not, but we have, like suppose me, if I do not have orange juice, optimizer, or something, I cannot drink immunocal. Then truly, I didn't investigate something that will get better absorption, because really, when you take it correctly, and you will say, well, what's the best absorption? Most probably is the people that takes omeprazole. Probably is better absorbed when somebody is not that acid in the stomach. But that's not true for the CPR, the PDR. It's not true. Then I would say that today's talk is how can I convince Donna to tell everybody around her, it doesn't matter where she is. Not only around you, put it in your Facebook, in your YouTube. You know, Donna, I remember Claudia, I used to be here. I do not know if Claudia is here. Claudia, are you here? Probably she left. But Claudia, in 2018, when I started going, we went to every place in the Autistic Foundation of Chicago. We went everywhere, and everything will be okay until I will say that we make money with this. This is what they call a network marketing. That's not true, because really this is a miracle marketing. You give this to a kid, and I can tell you, I have voicemails from Peru, from Argentina, because I have 20,000 people in my net, and they send everywhere and always work. Then I will say, let's orient it to give it to the kids as early as the mother think that something is wrong, not the doctor. Trust me, the mother knows more about her kid than anybody. It's not one. I can tell you 20 anecdotes that the mother, 6 months before, she tells me what's going on with her kids, what's going on. And we basically write down in our mind that probably she's a little overwhelmed by the other kid, she's this, she's that. And 6 months later, the kid do have something. Then what I think is that we have to understand the value of immunocal, that I do not have any interactions. This is proven for 28 years. This has been developed, it has the background of giving to HIV, to fatigue syndrome, to a lot of people. Then that's what I think is my concentration. I see what Doug is writing, and I want Doug to put in his website my presentation. Truly, because he will get more kids better than doing this. The people get very upset. You have to see, we were in my health center. I used to practice in a health center from Cook County. There were 2 pediatricians, 2 family doctors, and 2 internists. The only one who see kids of mothers that do not give shots was me. And you have to see the nurses. The nurses will say, well, doctor, why do you see these kids? So, well, they have a different thinking. You have to respect our Hippocratic oath didn't say that we have to take care of some people. It says the health and the life of the patient will be the main work for your life. Didn't say that I do not have to charge them. No. Then what happened? You are the black sheep until it happens what happens. Yes, in 2020. Until that, you start having some problems in your stomach and say, well, what I will do. And I can tell you, Donna, one day, you saw my beautiful grandkids, and my one is 3.
Texture on screen.
Was born in 2021. Then my daughter is an internist from Northwestern. Imagine what I have to do to see my new grandkid. Then I went to Chicago without Rosa Ophelia because she didn't have any shots, and I test. I went to the hospital, tested. It was not yet that they will give it to you free, and I test positive. Then, because we are a doctor, I asked one of the nurses to do it again. You remember the way that we drive to the hospital and you cannot get off your car, and they will come with like a marine, yes? Well, she tested me again, and I am again positive. I have all the friends giving me food. I will get breakfast from Claudia, lunch from one of my neighbors. Means I increased 3 kilograms in these 10 days. Why? Because I increased my immunocal to 6 envelopes. I increased my vitamin C to 2 grams. I increased my multivitamins and so on and so forth. I never have a cough. Then we have to be careful, because that's what I told my kids when I tell them, do not get any more shots, because I do not want you, that you are 30, having myocarditis like, some football players, some tennis players, etc., etc. Then we called Djokovic that he was crazy, but he didn't get any problems. And we have a number 1 tennis player in the world that she has to retire. She didn't say anything, but we know why she retired. Then that's what I want everybody to help me in going out and publish this, and going out and put it in your Facebook, having call, and if you want to make money, make money. If not, donate the money. But do not leave kids without immunocal. These families, not kids, these families are families that will be happy. All the family will finally be able to fly with their kids, because if not, they do not tolerate the airport. Then do you want to continue? There's some tags. I will read it later, the things that you are. We have to wake people up to the medical tyranny. I agree. The way of, I'm sorry, but let me show you something that, and you will understand, okay? I am in your league, but we have different ways to awake people, and this is what I will show you. Then you understand that I live in a country, Doug, that the Journal of American Medical Association produced this nice presentation. The pharmaceutical companies give to the government, to the politicians, $4.7 billion in average per year. Then I'm trying to follow you, and I agree 100% with you. That's why medications get approved that do not have to get approved. I will show you when Lou and Dale, that raised their hands, talk, I will find how much money Pfizer pay for doing what they do not have to do. Lou, go ahead. Wait, now you can talk.
Okay, thank you very much. I've really appreciated everything you've shared with us, and I appreciate too, it doesn't matter what a person has done, vaccination or not, these kids need Immunical. It doesn't matter. But I've had individuals with grown children, older children with autism. Mm-hmm. And I know the studies were done on young children, but in your experience working with people with autism, does it work as effectively in the results with adults? Okay.
You're asking about my experience. They work, they improve, they get some things, but not the same. And I will tell you, I searched the literature, and the literature is not clear about why. But my feeling is that some socialization cells die. This is my feeling. If you see the same happens in diabetes, you give somebody that has diabetes and is in metformin, and you tell him or her about exercise, about thinking, how important is that you have a positive thinking, that you do not hate people, that things that happen in the government, you do not take it. You do not turn on the news in the morning. You do not. Don't turn the news because your brain gets oxidized with all this garbage. Obviously, you do not have to eat all the Cheetos, Doritos, Pepsi, Coca, Fanta. You don't. Do it once a month, once a week, but that's it. Then what happens is all these things oxidize your body. Then I do think that it's not the same at 18 years old that at 2 years old. That's why I love that Azul, my son, my daughter, she gave to both kids Immunical. And you would say, for what? Not to get sick. And you would say, well, how much they pay? You will save it. Sooner or later, it's a saving. You do not admit the kid to the hospital. Your kid hug you. Your kid can go. Will the kid has the same behavior? Well, if you allowed him to go, to do what do not have to do, it will. But it will be much healthier if you start early. That's why I will show Doug what I am doing. And do not think that my family, now my kids, the sons, both sons understand what I'm doing. It's not that I'm against, but what I'm doing is trying to do as many things as possible. And not only for these kids, I can show you cerebral palsy. It's not that you will not see a kid that has cerebral palsy, but one thing is to be in a walker, tied to a walker to be able to walk. And one thing is to sit down in a beach and play, oh yeah, I see the kid, and the kid looks like cerebral palsy, but has a normal school, and not then it's very, very important. And I will show you a few things that I think that is fair to say that Doug is correct. But let's see if I can find it.
Dr. Scholcoff,
Yes.
I had a question come in from a lady in Seminole, Texas, and she says it's hard to talk to people with someone with autism because the doctors tell them not to do anything with natural supplements. Do you have any suggestions on that?
No, get the paper, print it, and show it to him.
Okay.
And do not think means. Imagine myself. I train people to go to the middle of nothing in the United States. 50% of the counties in the United States do not have OBGYN. They do not have sometimes pediatrician. They have 4, 5 family doctors. That's it. They do all the care. Then that's what I used to train people in C-sections, in cones, in colposcopies, everything that the family doctor has to do it far from the civilization. And I called some that called me professor. And when they talk to me after I explain to them, they say, I do not do that. The that is in between quotation marks, like I am the guy that went to a different world that is wrong. Well, I send them videos. I send them the book of Dr. Jimmy Gutman. I have I buy every month and send them books of Jimmy Gutman. And some, Sandi, associate professor of clinical family medicine at Northwestern.
Yeah.
They will say, that's for my wife. Like it will be like Herbalife. Well, this is not Herbalife. This is something that changed the world of people. Truly.
Exactly. And it's amazing to me that after 29 years, Dr. Scholcoff, we have to seriously make people understand that this is very extraordinary what we have here. And like in my entire career in immunotech, 29 years, we have something that we seriously don't have to defend. It has its own science. It has its own patents. We have published studies. It's truly amazing. And we don't have to defend what we have here because it's real. It's a real problem.
But now we have a tool that is called Facebook, YouTube. Seriously, I have to agree that I make a mistake. I didn't do videos. But I will do videos for autism. I will do videos for cerebral palsy. I will do videos for infertility with proven, as more we publish, just the same like Doug. Doug, look at this. This is the manufacture of the most important COVID shot. It paid in 2009 $2.3 billion for sobornos. How do you in Spanish is sobornos, is to give money to a doctor, he prescribed what you do. And promotion outside what you have to promote means to use Geodon for kids that has autism and is not indicated. $2.3 billion. Do you trust in Pfizer or do you trust in me that I do not have any criminal case like Glaxo? This is taken from Wikipedia. This is not taken for any amarillistic, any yellow pages. No.
It's incredible.
Well, that's why when I start, I will always start. Do you trust Doug that do not have any criminal cases? Or do you trust Pfizer? Sorry. Well, sooner or later we will be on. And it's not that I'm against Pfizer. What I am is in favor of the people. Oh, sorry. Marie Taki?
Marie's had her hand up for a long time, Dr.
Oh,
Scholcoff.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Marie, we get enthusiastic in discussion.
Where is Marie? Marie, ask your question, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Eduardo Scholcoff, and everybody who organized this. Unfortunately, the person who invited me is not here. I tried to find her. I'm very thankful that I have access to this information. I have a grandson who is 17 years old with autism, and everything else has failed so far. And I'm very hopeful that this can be like, God's hand toward us, because we've been very, very, anxious and very looking for a solution. Now, I follow the presentation, but I don't know exactly what is the name of the treatment and where I can find it. Because I hear
Who
something
invite you? Who invite you here?
Her name is Nidia. It's one of my very old friends. She knows that we have a grandson who has autism, so she sent it to us.
Call her. If not, Sandi will help. Are you in Canada?
No, New York.
In New York.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's a nice city, and cheap city. But call your friend that invite you. She will or sign you up in the company. You can be a client. Okay. The company, you can means I research it more. Sandi probably knows, but most of the people do not know that the company used to be in the stocks of Montreal. Because before I sign up, I research the company because I have a name. Then when I search how they make it, where they make it, where are they, and so on and so forth. And it's very strong. It's not a company that has been up and down. Then for me, it was very, very important. Then call the person that invites you, is called Immunocal, and this will check. Do not forget to do this 1-2 minute video, because it's the one that you will show. The pediatrician still, if you are not a doctor, will look at you and say, what do you know? Well, you know who introduced me to Immunocal? My wife. She's not a doctor. She's not a pharmacist. She told me that everybody has to use Immunocal. And when I researched it, Immunocal has papers about getting old, aging. Then is it the only oral medication, not skin medication, that is indicated for aging. Then really this is like Sandi says, it's a miracle. It's something that we do not have to defend. Then only to let you know that you will change many lives, okay? Let's go on. I do have a question about the causes of autism. My name is Laura, and my son is 29.
I see that.
Sorry?
I see that one, Dr. Scholcoff.
Oh, okay. Then I was invited by Lisette. Well, I can tell you it will get better, but not as much as if you will give him 1920 when he was 4. Well, in Canada was 1996 when it was approved to sell in Canada. This is not that we have 6 cases. There's hundreds of people that understand about immunocount. Let me turn on my light.
Dr. Scholcoff, there's a question up here by Paul W. Mahan, and I need to address this question. And so, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so it says La Caisse, a very large Quebec government pension fund, was an investor of Immunotech was when it was traded on the stock exchange. And so, Paul, I need to tell you that La Caisse de Depot was an investor in Immunotech, and it was a big, the Quebec Teachers Fund, when it was a publicly traded company on the TSH. And so now the company has been sold to Mauricio, and it is not traded on the Toronto Stock Exchange anymore. And Immunotech is still strong, and it's still going, and it is the most amazing company ever. So no, we're not on the Toronto Stock Exchange anymore. And the Caisse de Depot was the Teachers' Pensions Fund, and I was a stockholder in that. And Mauricio has took this on the biggest journey ever, which is bigger than La Caisse de Depot. So I just wanted to tell Paul that, Dr. Scholcoff.
Yeah, and I truly think that the company, when I came to this company, first was very solid. Number 2, far outweighed what it has. It has a lot of stocks. Number three, I remember when Mauricio came, I was already in the company, and he says, because I asked him about Argentina, and he says, I doubted that we will open, because Argentina has a market that increased the dollar and so on. He didn't say when, but he opened Guatemala, he opened Colombia, he opened, first I can remember, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Bolivia, Spain, Portugal, Italy. Was already, Great Britain was already open when I came, but he will open now France, Austria, Switzerland,
Germany.
And Germany. Then this is not something that, and I can tell you, the company is in very good health. And not only that, it will be much better. I answer somebody, you can trust that this company is so strong, and it will be super strong in 5 years. And
Dr. Scholcoff,
it says here, please do some Facebook videos in English. I do have videos that you can steal from my Facebook. Use it without any concern. I can tell you I have a lot of guiltiness because this was in the States in 1997. You know how many families I used to treat. I'm the associate professor of clinical family medicine. Then I will be consulted in kids that has autism. And there was something in the PDR that we can use that increase the glutathione in each cell of the kid that has autism. Then do not think, and many more, I can tell you, many more diseases you will find. I will do videos anytime I TikTok now. 70 years old, professor of 3 universities, and I TikTok. Because it's the only way, truly, the only way to get to all the pediatricians. Sooner or later, some pediatrician has a kid that has problems. Say, well, I will try to take a look.
Well, Dr.
Bribes, exactly, Adriana. Bribes. That's the English word for what Pfizer, That's bribes. Yes, they pay. Then they use oncology drugs. They use drugs that are not indicated for what they have to. This is a big, huge problem.
Well, Dr. Scholcoff, I'm going to end this call tonight and tell you that it's been a complete honor for you and me to like try and open this English market. And there's going to be more calls to come. And it's so fun working with you. It's such a breath of fresh air. And we had over 100 on the call tonight. And we're going to times that by at least 4 or 6. And it's just amazing the knowledge that you have and what you have to tell in a real way. And you know what? It's just after 29 years, I'm so excited to work with you because after you did that meeting for me in Leamington, Ontario, and I mean, I've watched a glutathione presentation 10,000 times. I have. And you just put this incredible spin on it that was so amazing. And I loved every second of it. And we just need to get the entire English market, both in Canada and the US and worldwide, up and running. And you deliver with such an eloquent way, and you're not afraid to answer anyone's questions. So I'm deepful and grateful for you and your family. So thank you very much.
No, thank you, Sandi. It was a good meeting. What I say sometimes for the people in Spain, I do it for the paella. Yes, I'm doing it to get together in Alberta. And truly, we make here friends. People do not understand sometimes that we do this and we get together in meetings and so on, and we enjoy a lot each other. Then what I want people, if do not ask me to get into my net. You can steal what you want. You will have several things. Some YouTube things, they get it down because I mentioned sometimes the COVID shot and they highlighted. Claudia clean it, but sometimes still they take it down. Then download it in your computer and share it with everybody. We have a library of testimonies. We have testimonies that you cannot share in the Facebook because the mother do not want the kid to be in the Facebook. But there are some mothers that are so grateful that they say, I do not care. Let's get to everybody. And I think that good that Doug do not get upset and will be in our meeting for infertility. I think that the next one is infertility, polycystic ovarian syndrome, hirsutism, something that is like that. And we will do it next month.
Perfect. Because I'm excited to work with you, Dr. Edward, because you know what? Dr. Brunos's dream was to bridge the gap between traditional and alternative medicine. And we really, really need the English market and to get up and running and share the word. And you are super amazing. And I love the way you deliver the message. And I know that everybody on the call tonight so appreciates you. And I know I do, because you put a spin on it that everybody can understand, right, Donna? Right? It's awesome. And we really need this. It's been a long road, Edward. And we're so happy that you've joined the train. We're excited.
Thank you very much.
I'm excited.
I want to highlight there is a Dr. Irasu that now is in Bolivia, but she used to be in Canada. It says Dr. Scholcoff is an inspiration, all this. And we will be doing things together. She wants to develop also the American and the Canadian market. And that's very important. But most important is get to the people to improve their health.
That's exactly right.
The money will come with it. You will see.
Eduardo, I love you. I love Rosa. I love what you stand for. I love everything you do. And so does everybody on this call. And, 29 years and still waking up every morning, planting my feet on the ground, telling me that Immunotech is the best, Immunical is the best. And it is. And thanks to you and Rosa for taking this company to the next level. I truly appreciate it and love you both. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And hopefully we will see each other in 2 or 3 weeks.
I love you, Dr. Edward.
You too.
Bye.